Hello guys, welcome to the channel. So in today's video we are going to see how we can create the DynamoDB in a AWS console and how we can access this same in AWS Lambda in the Visual Studio. We are going to create one DynamoDB table in the AWS console, and from there we can access that table in Visual Studio. Under the we have already created one Lambda previously, first Lambda, so there we can add this table, and we can fetch the records from the DynamoDB from the AWS console. So let's get started. So let's flip on that AWS console screen on the browser and let's get started. So okay, here it's dashboard. Under search you can search here DynamoDB. Let's click on that DynamoDB, and after clicking on that it will load that screen, and here it related that, so we just click on the create table and we can add here table name. So as per the table name we will give here one create user table. So just add here user, and if you come down there is a partition key and a sort key. So the partition key, if you can see, it's similar to the primary key in our SQL tables or any other tables. So same way it is a partition key, so it's unique key in a DynamoDB, so that we need to specify here. Suppose if we have a in a table there are three columns like ID, name, and mobile. So in that which name we need to specify here, that we can pass. So currently we are passing ID here and as a number, and that ID will be the primary key for this DynamoDB table. And adding with this, so we will not add the sort key, it's optional. So as of now we can keep the default setting, and let's get create. So the table is creating here. So if you can see the status here, it is creating. It will take some time for the deploy that DynamoDB table. Okay, so the table is successfully created. So if you can see the status is active. So now click on that user, and under this you can see here all general information regarding this table. Okay, so go in the explore table items for adding the table data, and here below if you can see after scrolling below there is one option, it is a create item. So under the create item we will create the data. So currently id is a partition key for in our case, so we will add the value 1, and just here click like add new attribute, so as a string, and that attribute is we can add as a name, and that value we can give here like AWS Lambda. So this is the value for this name property, and we can click on the create item. So the one record is created in this table. So if you can see here item return, it is ID and name, ID1 and name is AWS Lambda. So now let's come in the Visual Studio, and here we can fetch that DynamoDB data whatever we have created on the AWS console. So if you can see here on the DynamoDB, so currently it is not refreshed, so that's why under the DynamoDB no record. So just click on the refresh button above, and if you can see now Amazon DynamoDB, so that user table is came here, so that we created on the AWS console. So let's add that some code here in the function handler for the fetching that record. We need to create one where keyword here, and along with that we can add the DynamoDB context for the fetch data from the DynamoDB. So the DynamoDB context currently we can install from the NuGet package, or else we can put the name like DynamoDB context and just press control dot, so it will be give some suggestions like we need to install the package, and let's below if you can see install package, so it is coming from the DynamoDB v2, and we can just click on find and install latest package, then it is started installing that package, and after the installing that DynamoDB package will be available for us to add that DynamoDB data. Okay, so the package is installed now. We can add under that bracket here new Amazon DynamoDB client. So we will create that Amazon DynamoDB client, and after this client we are good to go for adding the DynamoDB data here. Let's add a new keyword here because we need to create that new instance for this DynamoDB context, and same way we can create one variable here, and using that dynamo context we can fetch that. So dynamo context dot load async, and under that we can pass here user class, and then whatever that input coming from the request that we can pass here. So that input is a ID, and it is a unique key for that table. So let's change that ID as a integer here, and return type should be user here. So whatever that user will become, so that we can return. Here if you can see that load async is synchronous, so we will add here await, and also we will make that method async and add a task here, and we can put the user under this task. So this is a return type for us. So that is done now. So we're able to fetch now the record. Already added that breakpoint here. So let's run that application and we will see the output. Okay. So the Lambda test tool is open. So under the function input, we will pass here value here. So that unique value, whatever we added in the DynamoDB. So if we can pass, see here, the input is 1 came, and basis of that we can debug and check that user data is came or not. So input is we passed to user, and here now over on the user and we can see so id1 and whatever that name in is there on the AWS console, that is came. So let's continue and see the output in the browser. So here if you can see the output, so whatever that whole JSON is came here with the ID and name. Now if you can see that table, we have a ID and name with AWS Lambda, and that is the output for the coming from DynamoDB. And this is the very simple steps for getting the data from the DynamoDB in the AWS Lambda.